Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical, and today for you guys I'm bringing you something a little bit different. Today for you dudes, I'm bringing you a video on Overwatch. Now, obviously, the main focus on my channel is, of course, Kingdom Hearts. However, every so often I do like to switch things up, and for the longest time now, I've actually been wanting to create something to do with Overwatch for some content on my channel. This is a game that I find myself playing pretty much at least every single day. And so now with Doomfist finally being revealed, it gives me a pretty good excuse to finally come around and make a video. I think testing the waters with content on YouTube is always a very important thing. Keep in mind, variety is a spice of life, so let me know if you guys like this sort of stuff. So yeah, like I was saying, Doomfist has recently been revealed for Overwatch. We got a tease a couple of days ago, and now finally Doomfist is available to play on the PTR as of right now. Doomfist has been an anticipated hero for quite some time. I would say ever since really the launch of Overwatch itself. He's always been that sort of hero that's rumored to be next, but finally today he is an actual thing. So it's great to see. So I thought today for you guys, I'd actually just give you a rundown of Doomfist, kind of just go over his abilities, talk about it a little bit, and also give you guys my first impressions. I've been playing him for probably just over about 2 hours. So obviously not a lot of playtime, but just enough to get a sort of general idea as to what this guy is all about. So first things first, let's take a look at his abilities. So his first one that he's got here is Hand Cannon, which is the left click, and this is his ranged attack. So basically this is the only sort of ranged ability that he has in terms of projectile base. The ammo clip in this is 4, so it's not super huge, but the cool thing about this is you don't actually have to reload. Instead, it kind of works similar to the way Tracer's dash works, where it automatically reloads over time. So in a sense, his hand cannon doesn't really use ammo, more so it uses charges, and these charges are displayed on your heads-up display. So it's there and it's nice and clear to give you an indication as to when your bullets have reloaded. Now in terms of actually using the hand cannon, it's not too bad. I think the range on it is actually pretty impressive, even though in the description of the ability itself it says that it's a short-ranged weapon. With me playing him in quick play on the PTR, I found that his range with the hand cannon is actually pretty damn good. The hand cannon in a sense is kind of like a mini shotgun, so of course the projectiles do spread. This means that the closer you are to an enemy, the more damage you're going to do. And trust me when I say this, you can literally drop people by just using the hand cannon. Although it's not extremely efficient because you want to be utilizing a lot of his other skills, the hand cannon itself will come in extremely useful. For someone that does focus on melee so much, I was actually really surprised to see that his ranged ability came in so handy. Next up is Rocket Punch, and this is probably the ability that you'll find yourself having the most fun with. So Rocket Punch is a dash melee attack, sort of similar in the sense of Genji's dash, but it works a tiny bit differently. For one, Rocket Punch uses a charge mechanic, so you can actually hold down your right click to then charge up the Rocket Punch. Doing this will of course increase its damage and the amount of distance you'll actually cover with Rocket Punch itself. As you guys can clearly see, when we charge up Rocket Punch, a gauge appears on the heads-up display indicating how much it's charged. Now of course you don't actually have to fully charge up Rocket Punch in order to use it. You can actually just simply press right click and you'll still use the ability, but of course you're not going to cover as much distance and you're not going to deal as much damage. The other thing to note about this is if you actually smack someone with Rocket Punch and they end up falling back into a wall, that too will also deal extra damage towards your opponent. So of course running onto a control point and literally charging up your Rocket Punch to max, slamming someone into a wall for the most part will generally one-shot them. Of course, you're not going to be one-shotting tanks or anything, but in terms of squishies, yeah, for the most part, you will be. This is something that probably needs further discussion about in terms of if it's going to make it onto the live servers or not. I can already see it now. Rocket Punch will most likely end up receiving a nerf just due to the sort of damage it's outputting at the moment, but trust me when I say this ability is really satisfying to use. The other thing is you cover a lot of distance when using Rocket Punch, so this can also be used for mobility as well. Next up is Rising Uppercut, which is Doomfist's left shift attack. This ability is pretty straightforward. You simply press shift to perform an uppercut. What it does is it simply deals a small amount of damage and of course knocks the enemy up into the air. The thing you'll notice about Doomfist is, for one, he's obviously very heavy melee melee focused, which means a lot of his abilities will knock back enemies. So just like Rocket Punch, Rising Uppercut also does the same, but rather than knocking them back or knocking them around, it will knock them up into the air. Now Rising Uppercut is an interesting ability because it can be used with a few of his other abilities. So going back to Rocket Punch, if you want to use Rising Uppercut and simply dash out of there to get out of a, say, sticky situation, then you can actually charge up Rocket Punch mid-air. The other ability that you'll probably find yourself using a lot of the time with Rising Uppercut is Doomfist's E ability, which is known as Seismic Slam. This is kind of like Heroic Leap if you've ever played a warrior in World of Warcraft. Essentially, Seismic Slam is an ability where you can leap forward and deal a small amount of damage, knocking back anyone in your way. So the combo here is to use Rising Uppercut and then use Seismic Slam to slam down onto a group of enemies. The damage within Rising Uppercut as well as Seismic Slam isn't really too good. Because of the fact that he's already got an array of abilities, it means that you have to kind of combo them and use them all together. There's going to be a million and one different techniques when it comes to Doomfist, so really it just comes down to what sort of abilities you want to use in what order. But once again, Seismic Slam as well as Rising Uppercut can also be used for mobility as well. This means that he can actually get in there, deal some damage, and get out quickly. He's kind of similar to a Genji in a sense. I wouldn't say as mobile, but very close to it. Next up is Doomfist's passive, the Best Defense. So on top of all of the crazy abilities that you have there to utilize for Doomfist, you've also got a passive ability as well, which seems kind of crazy. Now the way his passive works is when Doomfist deals damage, he slowly builds a shield on himself. So yes, this is actually the first DPS hero to actually have a shield within its health bar. Now Doomfist's base health is 250, but his shield will build up to 400. The thing to keep in mind here though, as soon as Doomfist actually starts building a shield on himself, his shield will decay, meaning that when he actually has a shield on him, it's always depleting. Now, honestly, this passive does make sense. I know it seems a little bit crazy that a DPS class has a passive that builds a shield onto them, boosting their health by an extra 150 points, but honestly, because of the fact that Doomfist is so melee orientated, it makes sense that as he would be in there right in the heart of the battle, he gets an extra edge when it comes to defense. Obviously, he's not going to be a hero that is going to stand back and deal damage from a distance. He's a hero that's going to be right in there. And finally, let's talk about Doomfist's ultimate ability known as Meteor Strike. So Meteor Strike is pretty interesting. When you press Q, Doomfist jumps up into the air for around about 5 seconds. Now, within this 5-second time period, you get to position exactly whereabouts Doomfist will land to, of course, create the attack. Now, when I say Doomfist jumps into the air, he literally jumps into the air and disappears, to the point where you can't actually see him. This in itself is actually pretty unique. It means that when Doomfist actually has his ultimate, for around about 5 seconds, he can actually completely disappear. Once you've selected whereabouts you want Doomfist to land, it will then come smashing down to create some serious damage. Now the thing to keep in mind here is the circle selector that of course you get to control while Doomfist is up in the air. And obviously this is used to position whereabouts he's going to land. You guys might notice with the circle that you see when you're positioning his ult, there are actually 2 circles. One smaller one and then one huge one. If any enemy is caught in his ultimate within the smaller circle, you will then inflict 300 damage, which to of course most heroes is an instant kill. The further away the enemy gets from the smaller circle, the less damage the enemy will take. And yes, for the opposing team, there is an indication as to whereabouts Doomfist is going to land when he performs his ult, so of course the opposing team won't be left in the dark. Now in terms of my personal experience with Doomfist's ult, I don't believe that this is an ultimate that is currently broken or overpowered. If of course that whole entire circle radius would inflict 300 damage, which for most heroes would instantly kill them, then yes, I think we would have a major serious problem. But because of the fact that if you want to deal the most damage with his ult, you have to of course get all of the enemies grouped into that small circle, which honestly is a pretty damn hard thing to do. However, Zarya's ultimate with Doomfist's ultimate, now that right there is a killer combo. But now guys, that is the rundown of the brand new Doomfist hero. I think it's absolutely fantastic that we finally have him in game after months and months and months of speculation and sort of teasing from Blizzard themselves. I think he's probably one of the funnest heroes that I've played in Overwatch so far, and I can definitely see myself using him more and more. Looking towards what heroes will be really good counters towards Doomfist, first and foremostly, I think Fire is going to be one in particular, mainly because of the fact that, you know, Doomfist is so melee focused, whereas Fire is in the air like all the time. it's gonna be quite hard to actually inflict damage on her. Of course, we do have the hand cannon, but that's about as far as it goes, so I can definitely see fire being a problem for Doomfist. And I mean, also looking towards Orisa, who actually has involvement within the lore for Doomfist, I believe she's also a pretty good counter towards him as well. The fact being that, obviously, she can position herself with the shield, and she's got her minigun, as well as her shift, which makes her invulnerable to things like stuns and knockbacks, in which, of course, we know that Doomfist has a lot of knockbacks. Orisa could be a pretty good counter towards him. Doomfist should be on the live servers within about a week or a week and a half, if, of course, going by the normal pattern of new heroes. However, guys, that is all from me today. Like I said at the start of the video, it's good to get a little bit of variety going, and if you guys want to see more Overwatch content on my channel, please do let me know. It's a game that I want to talk about a lot, trust me, I play it like all the time, but it's kind of hard to fit in new things onto a channel that already has a very strong focus, so I'm trying my best to fit in different things when I can. However, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.